Dun, 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 dun. Hey, everybody, welcome to TPIM. That's our live. I'm your host. True Power is Mine. I'm trying to get this camera kind of situated. Who's ready to join me on this exploration of truth? All right. This is what we're going to talk about today. A nation divided on so many different levels, y'all. On so many different levels. By the way, today's date is February 5th, 2020, the year of our Lord. I give thanks. Yes, I give thanks to the Most High that I am allowed yet again to do this show. Brother David, peace and power. Hopefully you enjoyed yesterday's show, the other morning show revisited, and hopefully we can have many more installments of that. But let's jump right into it. We all should know that the Democratic Party is pretty much under siege by itself, by its own unsustainable agendas. Looking at Biden, or not Biden, or Joe Biden, the establishment is shocked that the people are not gravitating towards him, and for a number of legitimate reasons. Brother Marty, peace and power. Brother American Aboriginal, peace and power. And Paralegal, good morning, peace and power to you. I'm glad you all made it and got up in here. Hold on. Let's break down the State of the Union, y'all.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, Mr. Vice President, members of Congress, the First Lady of the United States.
Don't let her speak, y'all.
And my fellow citizens, 3 years ago, we launched the Great American Comeback. Tonight, I stand before you to share the incredible results.
Tay, welcome to the show. Now, we're just going to break this down because I want you guys to understand the sense of what's going down. He's not getting impeached, and more than likely, he will be your president, the president, our president, for another 4 years. You know the reason why? Because he's quite literally bringing tangibles to the game. Let's continue.
Jobs are booming, incomes are soaring, poverty is plummeting, crime is falling, confidence is surging, and our country is thriving and highly respected again.
Did you hear the venom? Did you hear the venom in that? Our country is highly respected again. As if we didn't have no respect. Actually, I will argue that as far as our country's situation on the world scene, because I do happen to talk to people all over the world, our soft power has disintegrated away. We are torturers. We are people who engage in assassinations and other covert action to destabilize governments. It's well known now. So we have lost the soft power, but thank God Almighty, the hard power. Yes, absolutely. We have spent billions upon billions of dollars that could have went into infrastructure, could have went into reparations for Black folks to ensure that we can militarily dominate weaker countries. Let's continue.
America's enemies are on the run. America's fortunes are on the rise, and America's future is blazing bright. The years of economic decay are over.
The reason why I'm bringing this to y'all's attention, because I know, Brother Aboriginal, this is tough to watch. It truly is. For many of you guys, I know this is triggering. This is triggering content. I get it. But we have to do this for the young people so that they understand the game, so they understand the plays, because us old people have given in to the system. The older folks haven't worked the system. The system has quite literally worked them and rewarded them with economic stability. In other words, that's why you can have a black man running on Sesame Street in a dress. The system rewards him for engaging in that behavior. Whether you think it's good or bad, I sincerely ask you, search yourself, what type of impact does that have on the perception of black men in these United States of America? Let's continue.
The days of our country being used, taken advantage of, and even scorned by other nations are long behind us. Gone too are the broken promises, jobless recoveries, tired platitudes, and constant excuses for the depletion of American wealth, power, and prestige. In just 3 short years, we have shattered the mentality of American decline, and we have rejected the downsizing of Americans' destiny.
I think he struggled with that one, yeah. America's destiny. America's destiny. What is this destiny? If reparations aren't paid to melanated men and women, descendants of slavery, descendants of Jim Crow, descendants of segregation, if reparation economic viability is not restored to this segment of the population, then exactly what destiny is he talking about? You got it, P. Legal. You got it.
We have totally rejected the downsizing. We're moving forward at a pace that was unimaginable just a short time ago, and we are never, ever going back.
Well, welcome to the show, Mongo. Peace and power. I'm glad you made it. We're never going back. But you know what? In many ways, until reparations are truly addressed, we will never go forward. Will we? Am I incorrect, y'all? I need some feedback. Am I incorrect? If the horrendous wrong, the killing fields, the rapes, the baby farms, the lynchings, the castrations, if all this is not addressed, the descendants who are still damaged, brothers and sisters, we are damaged. You cannot be a prisoner of war and not be damaged and be right in your head. We need to do group self-repair. And a part of this repairing is becoming economically viable to the extent we too, on the average, not the exception, can also engage in wealth building activities. Let's continue. I wish these people were cheering about reparations. I wish these people were cheering about, yes, let's make melanated men and women, descendants of slavery, economically viable, not because we want to be like we're also righteous, because it's the right and correct thing to do to sustain this nation, to right a grievous wrong. And you can still get your reparations, and you still can have the conversations about how the system has damaged you. Because even though you'll get reparations, racism, discrimination will still be prevalent in the society, because until the tapestry of hate is unwoven, it will still conceal the crimes against humanity it perpetrates. Let's continue.
I am thrilled to report to you tonight that our economy is the best it has ever been. Our military is completely rebuilt, with its power being unmatched anywhere in the world, and it's not even close. Our borders are secure.
But our house is divided. And I want you to look at all those senior officers. You know, there's one thing in common. Picture tells 1,000 words. You see, let me pan this over so you can see the admiral. All right, you see the admiral. See all the commanders, even the Marine Corps general at the end. Do you see a commonality? Do these individuals look like they have something in common? Not just a Vienna sausage. All right. I know what y'all are thinking. They all got Vienna sausages? No, that's not it. But I'm sure you'll get it.
Our families are flourishing. Our values are renewed. Our pride is restored. And for all of these reasons, I say to the people of our great country and to the members of Congress, the state of our union is stronger than ever before.
But is that true? Search your feelings, brothers and sisters. Is that true? When you walk on the streets and you interact with your fellow citizens, do you feel the unity? Do you feel the unity? Do you feel the strength? Do you feel the camaraderie, the brotherhood, the sisterhood? Or do you feel the blank stares, the skepticism? Do you feel the stereotypes being imposed upon you? We have to get to a point until we have a true conversations. First, hopefully with self, then with your immediate family, then with your community, all the way up the ladder until you reach the nation. If you truly love the United States, then you should love reparations for descendants of slavery. Reparations for those who you know for a fact there have been laws on the books all the way up until the 60s denying them housing, denying them business opportunities, denying them even the decision to marry whomever they want. You have to understand, the race game is just that. It's a game. You are forced to participate in this game whether you want to or not. Because the soldiers in each camp, once the green light is given, will quite literally look at your skin as your uniform. And if we do not acknowledge this dangerous fact, then we are just setting ourselves up for an inevitable conclusion. And I've spoken on this many times before on this show. It almost seems as if everything positive in the economic sense of the word that Black people are traditionally tied to, once it reaches a certain point of viability, it's corrupted and subverted and turned into a tool for the dominant society to profit from. Not saying that you're not a talented individual, But your works, your labor, the majority of wealth generated will not go to you and your descendants. No, no, no. It's going to go to the dominant society's descendants. And that's not what decent people do. If you want to strive to be decent, you want to strive to be righteous, then you have to right wrongs that you personally benefit from. And if you don't want to do that, then you're basically being a barbarian, uncivilized individual. If you're too scared to walk hand in hand with your fellow human being, then all you're actually doing is oppressing a section of humanity. Let's continue. Brother Al, peace and power. We're gonna jump right now. Brother Aboriginal brought up a great point. I'm gonna shut up right now. And I want you to hear from one of the members of the new black media. I want you to hear from a very sharp, articulate man. I give you Jason Black.
Young, i.e. Dr. Dre, expended all of his social capital and street credibility and dropped it all on this cornball from the Midwest. And if Dre wasn't willing to sacrifice his credibility for Eminem, we'd be talking about Eminem the same way that we talk about Terry B. That's what would have happened. Without Dre, there is no Eminem because his, quote, rapping ability wasn't that significant. And the protectors of the realm have sold out the children so he can get a paycheck for himself. He's not telling the children that this is a black man's game. They're telling them what their master said. Oh, you can't say it belongs to black people. You have to say this is an American thing, that this belongs to all Americans. Please remember, it was your white Americans who were condemning NWA and Public Enemy for saying fight the power and F the police. No, this is not an American thing. It didn't come from America. It came from black people in America. It didn't come from America. This isn't something you can go down the street with your white neighbors and we both have the same frame of reference. What he's talking about and what you're talking about are two separate damn things. When you're talking about the message, and when you're talking about NWA and the ghettos of America, that ain't like Eminem. Eminem talking about his mama's drug use and his own drug use, that's not a product of the American war on drugs. That's not a product of J. Edgar Hoover flooding the ghettos with drugs. He wasn't the target. Eminem and his mama and his girlfriend and the white trailer park people and their drug problems, those are self-inflicted wounds.
Ouch.
Those are self-inflicted. You weren't the targets of the CIA and the FBI and Iran-Contra. You weren't targeted. Those are self-inflicted wounds. And you have a society that helped you. Black people were the targets of it. We're talking about whole communities and whole cities, not a damn trailer park where you went off on a self-indulgent drug binge. So
I hope you really heard what the brother was saying. I hope you really comprehend what's at stake, y'all. I'm probably going to take a copyright hit, but I want to share this song that a confidential informant sent me. I was finally able to check my email. And boy, we got so much great information. This is your young little brother from Uganda. And I want to illustrate and complement what Jason Black is talking about when he speaks on rap music was created by Black folks, because we sing and we behave and we demonstrate through our soul. Join me, brothers and sisters, in celebrating this young little brother here. Hold on. And I'm going to play it. It's only 2 minutes, y'all. So just feel his passion. And I know you guys will dig it. Check it out.
Fresh good on the way. The Texas. Look up. We're on the beach. Check. A bad man record. Bangs on the yard. Wamiaka. Fresh kid. Bandeka. Body move. Tunuka. Fresh kid. Niya pan. Sekawaka. Bangs on the yard. Wamiaka. Fresh kid. Bandeka. Body move. Tunuka. Fresh kid. Niya pan. Sekawaka. Yeah. Sunina Buddha Yantura, Echirujika Star, Mupurida, Yamujogaya Kombe Urida, Mukana Soma, Paurida, your fresh kidney and some tomato, Texas, Dubai, to get to go, Yakuachi Waka Pumbuto, Akakarikatuna Lake, Jamungato, your fresh kidney and Samana, a Turam woman in the savannah, fresh kidney Muta Aripuri Pada, a Vadisa Amatabu Ramana. So what if one one did you want? Get touching a chochari no pua. Never said that the mama never. Never saw a kind of cook up Makua. Bangs on a yard, Wamiako. Fresh kid, Bandeka. Body move, Tunuka. Fresh kid, Nia Ban, Sekawaka. Bangs on a yard, Wamiaka. Fresh kid, Bandeka. Body move, Tunuka. Fresh kid, Nia Ban, Sekawaka. Mutabo, Fala Bakaba, and Kiwa and Yabo, Chip, Novagamba, Denisabo, I was a good about his Sanka Mukadabo, Sanka, you saw a good column for you, Sayusa, Kiabikapo, Baba Naza Pusa, Otabu Sanya, and Mama was the Pusa, but I would Naga Channel, Banzole Yard, Wamiaka, Fresh Kid, Bandeka, Body Move, Tunuka, Fresh Kid, Nia Pan, Sekawaka, Banzole Yard, Wamiaka, Fresh Kid, Bandeka, Body Move, Tunuka, Fresh Kid, Nia Pan, Sekawaka, Ship, protecting the good touch, wanted them, Funida Judge, good, Xander Judge, just as I know what was Tony Edge. You was it up, you was it up, Mama Sigan Top. I'll talk about the Majawa one of us up. Like you got them, Boyana was so. Bangs on the yard, Wamiaka. Fresh kid, Bandeka. Body move, Tunuka. Fresh kid, Nia Pan, Sekawaka. Bangs on the yard, Wamiaka. Fresh kid, Bandeka. Body move, Tunuka. Fresh kid, Nia Pan, Sekawaka. Sure. The Texas, one of Turiva Chamo, one of your plants like the one at you. Yeah, a fun man records, a fresh kid, Uganda.
I see the crowd and your concerns. Yes, I saw Masonic imagery in there, the checkerboards. I'm not going to get into all that. I also saw homosexual agenda. I played that for you guys to show you that the same tools that has been used on rap over here is being used in rap over there. You see, rap music has always been a tool that we used to originally back in the old days, like KRS-One. I mean, that's not really that KRS-One. I'm talking, if we go all the way back to the 70s, but it was used to disseminate information about what's really happening. But now I call it the Elvis effect. You watch, it's going to be washed away. And before too long, people are going to quite literally say Eminem was the first true rapper. Even though he doesn't rap from his heart, he raps about self-inflicted problems. He doesn't rap about giving reparations to black folks. Yeah, he might not use the N-word in his game, but if you don't use the N-word, then how can people really understand? See, that word nigger is a very divisive term. When you're walking down the street, Brother Al, and a car passes you, hey, nigger! It evokes a certain feeling in most of us. Brother Air, you're going to a job, you have on suit, you're clean, you're smelling good, you walk into the office there, and the receptionist looks up with her glasses and her cold eyes, and she says, what are you doing here, nigger? We're not hiring. We have to be careful which words we choose not to use, because all words have power. And sometimes we need the power, the full effect, to get people to understand what is truly at stake. Now, oh, my bad, yeah, hold on. Oh my, no, I don't want to, this is not what I was wanting. I wasn't wanting the circles in the sky. This is a UFO. I was putting together a UFO deal, but I wanted to show you guys basically, Wuhan is burning 100 bodies a day since January 28th. Some serious things are happening in the world. And for all who didn't see the show about Wuhan, we talked about yesterday, me and Dimebag, Wuhan was traditionally the center of Chinese economic activity. And now it's infected. It's infected. But before we go off this rap thing, I want to share a little bit more with what Jason has to say. And then we're going to jump over there and finish up the State of the Union. Let's continue.
To sit up here and attempt to compare those two, you got to be out of your damn mind. His experience with drugs is nothing like black people's experience with drugs. There was no war on drugs in the trailer parks at 8 Mile. There were no police bashing in the front door with battering rams. There was no civil forfeiture. There were no groups of white folks gathered up at 2 a.m. and marched off like slaves on the chain gang into jail. There were no big, huge poster grids on the evening news showing a dozen white folk arrested for running meth. They decriminalized drugs when it was time to start arresting white folk.
Yep.
You don't hear Eminem saying anything about doing jail time or anybody he knows doing jail time because of drugs. He just talked about being messed up on drugs. Black folk are talking about communities decimated, a living police state, a prison industrial complex. He ain't saying a damn thing about that, bro. He's making up cornball nursery rhymes. That's Saturday Night Live satire. That is not the black experience. We're talking about going back to Marvin Gaye. We're talking about going back to Chuck Berry. We're talking about going back to the blues. We're talking about going all the way back. We're talking about going back to the American killing fields of slavery and the Negro 100s. That's where rap comes from. And for you to attempt to shamelessly project our experience on a white male who has zero connection to any of that. That tells me how pathetically and grossly ignorant most of these millennials are today, because the DJs who were supposed to make sure they had the proper cultural teaching haven't given them that. They're telling you being able to rhyme some words is the same as rapping. They're not telling these young people that there is a cultural legacy to rap that simply cannot be imitated nor duplicated. P. Diddy a few days ago was talking about how the Grammys don't respect Black people. Well, let me drop something on you here, Sean Combs. The reason that we can't get these young cats on code is because you old niggas keep selling us out every time you get a chance. The reason the Grammys don't get respect, Sean, is because Black folk like you spent the last 25 years saying that rap is America's music so that you could get next to J-Lo. You had a sexual agenda, and you were willing to sacrifice and leverage the rest of us and the cultural capital built up long before your raggedy ass ever came along so that you could dangle a record career in front of J-Lo's face as your leverage to get her into bed. And it worked. The only thing that you're upset about or that you regret is that it didn't stick. But you did that so you could lay up with J-Lo, and then you want to be surprised when the people who you told them that it was their music, American music, that all of a sudden they want to erase you. Then you want to come in acting holier now and holler about what, quote, we created. Well, you wasn't saying that when you were trying to get next to J-Lo. It was everybody's music then. It was America's music when you wanted to get your vodka deal. It belonged to everybody. And then you want to act stupid when the folk who have practiced racism and white supremacy against you since 1441, once you told them, oh yeah, this music that we created, it's legitimate for you to be here too. Then when they knocked your ass out of the way, now you want to scream that they don't respect you.
Here's the gag. You're in a war. You give your enemy ammunition. Don't be shocked when they use it against you. Don't be sitting there, what's going on, boss? What's going on? Listen to TPIM, that's our live, and you'll get a glimpse to what's going on. Everything that is economically viable and is, I guess, stereotypical for a Black man or woman to be doing, other than the janitor and the maid work. Now, they'll keep you doing that. Like they said, a Black man can go anywhere in America as long as he has a mop and a bucket in his hand. A Black woman can go anywhere in America as long as she has an apron and a duster in her hand. But if you put down the mop and pick up a briefcase, there's an issue. Sister, if you put down the dustpan and pick up a tablet, it's an issue. They don't mind you doing the shit work, but you're not going to do the fulfilling work that enriches and builds wealth for your family. Now, if I'm incorrect, if what I'm saying is not 100, please point it out to me. Say, true, no, this is incorrect. I have this, I can show you. This is, over here, look in this sector. But quite literally, every sector of this economic game we look at that starts off Black, blues, jazz to a certain extent, rock and roll, absolutely, totally, and now rap. We have to have these real conversations. And we have to understand that these people are about that business. Let's continue.
The vision I will lay out this evening demonstrates how we are building the world's most prosperous and inclusive society, one where every citizen can join in America's unparalleled success, and where every community can take part in America's extraordinary rise. From the instant I took office, I moved rapidly to revive the U.S. economy, slashing a record number of job-killing regulations, enacting historic and record-setting tax cuts, and fighting for fair and reciprocal trade agreements. Our agenda is relentlessly pro-worker, pro-family, pro-growth, and most of all, pro-American. Thank you. We're advancing with unbridled optimism and lifting our citizens of every race, color, religion, and creed very, very high. Since my election, we have created 7 million new jobs, 5 million more than government experts projected during the previous administration. The unemployment rate is the lowest in over half a century. And very incredibly, the average unemployment rate under my administration is lower than any administration in the history of our country.
Now, I want to show you something that just came across my desk earlier this morning. Now, for some of you, this may be a trigger, but others, hopefully, it'll just be reality. Let's continue.
Paul, I am loving the all-new camera system.
No, I don't want. Oh my guys, these ads are just intolerable. YouTube, intolerable. I'm shocked. All right, hold on. Well, this is Trump clowning up there at the Super Bowl party when the national anthem's being played. I wish I had a clear video camera, and I'm working on this, folks. It's not going to be too long. I'm going to have a 4K studio, and we'll probably get back to the camera either being on the screen or myself, that type of format. But for now, bear with me. It's not really the imagery on this. It's the audio. Let's continue. All right, hold on. I got to take this phone call. I'll be right back.
If we hadn't reversed the failed economic policies of the previous administration, the world would not now be witnessing this great economic success. The unemployment rate for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans has reached the lowest levels in history. African American youth unemployment has reached an all-time low. African American poverty has declined to the lowest rate ever recorded. The unemployment rate for women reached the lowest level in almost 70 years, and last year women filled 72% of all new jobs added. The veterans' unemployment rate dropped to a record low. The unemployment rate for disabled Americans has reached an all-time low. Workers without a high school diploma have achieved the lowest unemployment rate recorded in U.S. history.
Can I say something? The unemployment rate is nothing more than a wage slavery rate. Wage slavery is at an all-time high. The slaves on the plantation are busy working, and my friends who are in the corporate world, the CEOs, are getting rich off of these people's labors. And this is something to be happy about in a nation where you're supposed to be free. But in reality, you're just a wage slave. And you better be happy that you are one, because there's worse things than not being a wage slave. We quite literally live in a society where money is everything. That's why reparations is so utterly needed, and there is intolerable that we have Black Caucus members not standing in unison saying reparation is due our people and we're going to fight for it. Nope. They're too busy worrying about who can put a finger in someone's butt. They're worried about who can munch the most carpet, be a lobster licker. That's what they're concerned about, and it's disgusting. We giving up the rap game. We giving up the gains in the civil rights. And what do we have to show for it collectively, folks? What do we have to show for it? Brothers and sisters, what do we have to show for constantly giving our ideals away, giving our labor away, following false spiritual teachers? What do we collectively have to show for it? Does it make us better patriots? Has it strengthened our families? Do you personally feel better about you? All these questions, but no one wants to really answer them, because the answer, and I will say it, is probably no. It hasn't really done you personally a bunch of good to have congressmen and women not advocating for your economic viability. It probably hasn't done you a bunch of good not being able to create wealth that you can pass on down your bloodline. And it probably hasn't been very constructive to have spiritual images of beings who do not look like you, who could not produce a person like you, but yet they are ones who are representations of the Most High. You better understand how this game is being played on all levels. There is not one segment of the society where this race game is not being played. It's being played in our schools. It's being played in our hospitals. It's been played in the churches, and it's being played in our government halls of power and the military. Like I said, every segment of this country. And the reason why is because decent folks aren't standing up. You'll rather get these ill-got benefits from being in the in crowd. And you may not use the N-word yourself. You may have never called a black man or woman a nigger, but you neither called for your white brothers and sisters to stop being racist. To be silent on this issue is to condone the situation. It is to condone systematic discrimination and hate. And if that's what you're rolling on, there is no way in hell you can be a decent human being. And if we're not dealing with decent human beings, then we're dealing with barbarians with power. Prove me wrong. Stand up and say, True, you're wrong. We are going to fight. We got this. And we must love ourselves, all humanity. But it takes liberation. Let's continue. H, welcome to the show. Peace and power. Brother Fred. Knowledge. James. My God. Sims, welcome to the show. All of you.
A record number of young Americans are now employed.
Wage slavery.
Under the last administration, more than 10 million people were added to the food stamp rolls. Under my administration, 7 million Americans have come off food stamps and 10 million people have been lifted off of welfare.
Let's say that correctly, Mr. President. Millions of people have been kicked off of welfare because the requirements to be on said welfare has been raised. Wild, welcome to the show. I'm glad you made it. Peace and power. How come we can't have a State of the Union where the president is saying more Americans are building wealth that they will be able to leave for their children? Yay! Yay! Then they sit down. More decent Americans have waken up to the realization that if we do not make melanated men and women of these United States economically viable, then the United States can never fulfill her destiny. Yay! Yay! But we'll never get none of that real shit. You basically get these veiled threats and these statistics of just how well the slavery is going. In other words, Trump could have summed up this whole speech by saying this right here. My fellow Americans, we have more slaves toiling in the soil for Goldman Sachs and other rich corporate conglomerates that's truly running this nation. Our economic masters are really happy. It's terrific. It's really terrific. We are going to blow out records. We are going to exploit labor, and we are going to become filthy rich. America is great again. Yay! That's what you get. It has always been about those who have had and those who have not. But now they mix it up and throw in the race thing. So those white folks who are basically poor feel as if I'm cool in my poverty because thank God I'm not a nigger. Boys and girls, that type of mindset has to be tragic to live in. You know, when you wake up and you click the lights, they don't work. You open up the refrigerator, all your food's done spoiled because no electricity. You go to that faucet, guess what? It don't work because you're on a well and the pump runs by electricity. So you go out there to that old truck, that old 1985 Ford truck, F-150. Yeah, unchain your dog from the bumper, let him go up in the house, do whatever he has to do, and you jump in that truck. You didn't check the battery, but you try to start it up. It doesn't work. You think you're out of gas. So you go and fill that gas up, and you hit that key again, but it still doesn't work. You never think to check the battery. Well, the same thing is true with the United States. The battery is reparations for slavery. No one's checking the battery, y'all. No one's checking the battery. And without that battery being charged up, that means melanated men and women being made economically viable. Without that juice going into that battery, that old truck is never going to run. So true is this country. The United States of America's fate is quite literally tied to the fate of melanated men and women, descendants of slaves. If we are destroyed, you have better bet your bottom dollar. It won't be too long after the United States will be unrecognizable. Let's continue, and then we'll be wrapping this up, folks.
In 8 years under the last administration, over 300,000 working age people dropped out of the workforce. In just 3 years of my administration, 3.5 million people, working age people, have joined the workforce. Since my election, the net worth of the bottom half of wage earners has increased by 47%, 3 times faster than the increase for the top 1%. After decades of flat and falling incomes, wages are rising fast, and wonderfully, they are rising fastest for low-income workers who have seen a 16% pay increase since my election.
That's a good pose to stop it on. Right there. That's a good pose. You can see that this is the rule of 2, the Sith. There's always a master that controls and commands power, and an apprentice that craves it. Old Pence looks like he's about ready to pull out a lifesaver and stab Trump right now. I am the emperor, infinite power. And that's what we're talking about today, power. Group power, individual power, economic power. Wait, did he say wagers? He probably did. Hold on, I can go back 3 minutes. Or not 3 minutes, I can go back a few seconds.
After decades of flat and falling incomes, wages are rising fast, and wonderfully, they are rising fastest for low-income workers who have seen a 16% pay increase since my election. This is a blue-collar boom.
Sad thing is, the only blue collars in that whole auditoriums are those who sweep up the floor and ushers. All those folks are not blue collars, not one of them. This is the prediction that great men have been giving us for years and years. George Orwell, Steve Coakley, others. We are fast approaching a total Orwellian super state that will usher in the one world government. It's really crystal clear now. I know a lot of you guys don't think that. No, it'll be America forever. United States forever. Never paying reparations, always kicking the black man in the ass forever and ever. No. Everything that has a beginning also has an end. Racism has a beginning, and racism will have an end. I guess the only true question is, are you going to be one who helps usher in the end? Or are you going to be silent and be one that allows this insidious system to continue? And that's something you need to search in yourself. Take a real gut check. I, for one, believe in unity. I believe in through unity, there's peace. And through peace, there's dignity. We cannot continue down this unsustainable road. Not only are the people's minds, hearts, and souls being debased, but the very ground, the very air that we are breathing, the very water that we must drink, the very food that should be nourishing our bodies is also attacking us. Talk to someone in Flint, Michigan. Talk to someone who has gut cancer now because of the foods that they eat with all the preservatives and nitrates. And ask the brother or sister who is thoroughly convinced their religious leader, who basically fleeces them for their cash, is really in the game for them. We have a mess to clean up, brothers, sisters. We have one hell of a mess to clean up, but we can do it if we first do what? Identify what needs to be clean. Then we identify, well, what tools do we need to properly clean it up? And then we get to work once we get a plan. I have a plan for reparations. But first, we have to have these conversations. I want to thank all the chatters. I want to thank all the viewers. I want to thank the mods. I also want to thank the agents and the haters who watch the show religiously, maybe even take notes. I want to reiterate one thing yet again. You too have a place in liberation. You too have a place in humanity where you're free of your hate. You're free of the disease of racism in your mind and hearts and souls. But without you, the greater war will be lost. There's a reason why you exist in the way you exist. There's a reason why the Asian exists the way he exists. There's a reason why the Indian exists from India the way they exist. Every one of our different body types have different abilities and different advantages. If we use them in a unified way for common cause and purpose, that is for the continuation of humanity itself, we will ascend to the stars. But if we continue down this path that we are on, self-sabotage, hate, then there's only one conclusion that will befall all of us, brothers and sisters, given enough time. And that would be extinction. So this will conclude TPIM as our live for today. February 5th, 2020, the year of our Lord. Black History Month, y'all. Please read some books from our elders and our ancestors. Hear their story, understand that they started this, but we must finish it. Please live your life of integrity without hate, envy, or greed. And as always, brothers and sisters, please, 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 let's try to be kinder to one another. Peace and power, unity and victory, dignity and respect, liberation. I'm out.